Jeff, the host of the Gridiron.
Fourth and goal to go with the 2. 34 seconds left to go in the ball game. This is the play right now. Take the snap. Targeted goes in. Targeted all alone. And the quarterback keeps. Wow, what a call. Nobody touched him.
All right, nobody touched them, baby. Welcome to the Gridiron. If you can give this video a thumbs up or maybe share this video, that would be absolutely freaking phenomenal. If you subscribe to my channel, thank you. If not, please go down below, hit the subscribe button, hit that bell icon. That way next time I go live, if I put a video out, you'll be notified. And it's free of charge. What do you got to lose? It's totally free of charge. But if you are subscribed to my channel, thank you. If you want to help support my channel, in the description box below, very top link in the description box takes you to my membership page. I got 3 different membership levels. Each one has their own little perks to them. So if you want to help support my channel, it would mean so much to me. I thank you in advance. And then finally, just underneath that, there's another link somewhere in that box. It takes you to my Facebook group. It's called the New York Giants, the Gridiron. It's my Facebook group. We have over 9,600 members in the group. It is doing simply marvelous, might add. Basically, if I'm alive and breathing and if I got internet access, I am putting stuff in this group down there 365. It's called the New York Giants, the Gridiron. It's my Facebook group. Please join it. You will not be dissatisfied. I promise. All right. Well, we got a lot of stuff to talk about here. We're only but not actually less than 3 weeks away from the draft. Man, oh man. I tell you what, boy. It's time's just moving on. I mean, it just seems like it was whatever it was. I don't know. A couple days ago, seems like free agency was here, and now all of a sudden it's the draft is just crazy, absolutely crazy. All right, so there was one interesting thing that I saw. All right, let's try to see. I'm trying to get this thing to pop up here. And it don't look like it's going to work. But anyway, if it was going to work, did Brian Daboll actually tip his cap or tip his hand, tip his card, show his hand, right? As far as what's going to go on maybe with the number 3 overall pick, right? Very, very interesting. Because one thing that was asked of him, right, what was asked was when he was at his press conference at the league meeting and all and everything. They asked him, said, are you going to, you going to any pro days? He's like, no, I don't go to pro days. No, you don't, no pro days, huh? Okay. Then, he was seen, okay, at, the Colorado Pro Day today. So it was rather interesting, rather interesting what, I mean, it just, some of it doesn't make any sense, right? If you're not going to, pro days, then why were you at the Colorado Pro Day today? So then does that mean, as I'm saying, is like, why did you go to this one, right? In particular, hold on. Why did you go to this one in particular? The Colorado one. I mean, there's only, there's, you're pick 3, right? There's 2 of these players here could go pick 3. So why did you go to this one? Very interesting. One thing I did see, I was from, hey, I'm Adam Schefter. Hey, man. Well, there was something he put out that said, Brian, nope. It's here somewhere. There you go. Giant draft rumors from Adam Schefter. Hi, I'm Shefty. Feels like Browns and Giants will pass on Shedeur Sanders. That's what, that's from the Big Blue View. According to him, the rumor mill continues to swirl. I mean, we'll continue to realize that nobody really knows anything, which is absolutely true. You're absolutely true. I mean, all of this stuff could be just smoke and mirrors, right? I mean, that's one thing that Gettleman had did a very bad job of. Very bad job. it seemed like almost like the entire everybody, even people in like Uganda, knew what Dave Gettleman was who he was taking or who he wanted, or what I mean. So I mean, good chance that possibly some of this stuff could be all smoke and mirrors. Try to what would you say? Cause up some rumors, stir up some rumors and stuff like that, and all and everything. So you don't know. I mean, once again, well, we'll have to all wait and see. Of course, it's less than 3 weeks away, and we'll find out exactly, all the, exactly what the Giants have in mind. Once again, it doesn't matter what I think. It doesn't matter what Mel Kiper Jr. thinks. It doesn't matter. It only matters two guys, right? And actually, Joe Shane is basically the kahuna there. Okay, we're going to be talking a little more about that dynamic duo a little farther down our program here tonight, right? The Shane and Daboll, right? But as I said, according to Adam Schefter, Adam Schefter said on the Pat McAfee show that it feels like both the Browns and the Giants will pass on quarterback Shedeur Sanders with the second and third picks in the draft. Certainly feels like the Cleveland Browns are inclined to look elsewhere, aside from the quarterback, Schefter said. Shefty. And it starts to feel like the Giants at number 3 are starting to look elsewhere other than quarterback as well. I mean, you look, I mean, if you think, right? I mean, if you got like Myles Garrett on one side, if you could put Abdul Carter on the other side for the Browns, So if they took Carter, I couldn't blame them one bit. Right? Not one bit. That said, we posted mock drafts on the Bruce Feldman of The Athletic and Field Yates of ESPN on Tuesday, whether Sanders was the choice number 3. Let's see. Giants GM Joe Shane said on Monday that after signing veteran quarterback Russell Wilson and Jameis and Winston, Giants can go anywhere, any which direction with the third pick. He also said to use a pick that high on a quarterback, the franchise has to believe that player is capable of winning a Super Bowl, which is true. That's absolutely true. We find out how the Giants really feel about Sanders in a little more than 3 weeks. Well, actually, it's a little less than 3 weeks. Right? Because obviously, right. What? Round 1 is Thursday, right? So, okay. So, Giants Brian Daboll attends the Colorado Pro Day, contradicting himself and Joe Shane. Giants head coach Brian Daboll attended Colorado's Pro Day on Friday, 3 days after saying he wasn't going. And 4 days after general manager Joe Shane said Brian Daboll doesn't go to any pro days. This must be a big pro day then. The About Face added an unusual chapter to a tense offseason for a regime on the hot seat entering year 4. Shane was asked at the NFL owners meeting in Palm Beach, Florida, why Daboll hadn't attended quarterback Cam Ward's Miami Pro Day last week. He doesn't go to any pro days, Shane said. Okay. Daboll then was asked on Tuesday if he was going to Colorado's Pro Day on Friday to watch quarterback Shedeur Sanders and wide receiver / cornerback Travis Hunter. No. Pro Day? No. Daboll said, no. I'm not going to Pro Day. All right. If you say so. But there was Daboll on Friday standing on the turf next to Colorado offensive coordinator and former Giants head coach Pat Shurmur. And once again, offensive coordinator Pat Shurmur does a very good job. Pat Shurmur, the head coach, does not do a very good job. Let's not forget, Pat Shurmur in his final season, his final season as the coach, Daniel Jones's first season as quarterback, 24 touchdown passes, 12 interceptions. Now, he had a bunch of fumbles. A lot of that was also due to the porous offensive line, but 12 interceptions. I had to clean that up. But he'd started 12 games. 12 games he started. He threw 24 touchdown passes. Pat Shurmur, not a coach, not a head coach. Offensive coordinator, yes, absolutely. Let's see. As the son of Deion Sanders and Heisman Trophy winner, Hunter worked out for a large crowd of NFL evaluators. I think it was like 14 guys for the Giants went there. Giants unsurprisingly sent a huge contingent to watch the two Buffaloes stand out that included senior personnel executive Chris Mara and director of player of personnel Tim McDonald. There is a high probability that one of the two Colorado players, yes, will be their number 3 pick overall, assuming Ward goes 1 to the Titans and Penn State, Abdul Carter goes number 2 to the Browns. I could see that happening. Absolutely. The only surprise was that Daboll was there after Daboll and Shane said that pro days weren't his bag. Very, very interesting. And then also, got another one here. This one is from Fansided. Brian Daboll may have just tipped Giants' hand on Shedeur Sanders at Colorado Pro Day. Well, it could have been Shedeur Sanders, but it also could have been Travis Hunter, too. Not very often, do you find a pro day, right, where you got 2 guys, right, at the same pro day can go in the top 5. It's kind of odd. Giants faithful are waiting patiently for the first night of the 2025 NFL Draft. With the offseason commencing and free agents being signed, all that awaits is to see who the teams take with the number 3 overall pick. Giants knew they needed to address the quarterback position, and they did. So by signing veterans Russell Wilson and Jameis and Winston. Even with those signings, that doesn't exactly preclude the team from drafting a quarterback. Cam Ward is likely off the board with the number 1 pick to the Titans, so that leaves Shedeur as an option for the Giants. On Friday, Giants may have tipped their hand as to where they are leaning with their first overall pick. Colorado Buffaloes hosted their pro day for all draft-eligible players, including quarterback Shedeur Sanders and reigning Heisman Trophy winner Travis Hunter. Giants were in attendance, and there was one person who was there, and that was head coach Brian Daboll. This comes days after he said he wasn't attending. NorthJersey.com Art Stapleton was the first to report that Daboll would be in attendance for Colorado's pro day. Who cares? Gives a crap. With that, the Giants may have just tipped their hand as to who they are leaning toward drafting with the number 3 overall pick. Giants may have tipped their hand on who they're drafting. It was stressed by Daboll and general manager Joe Shane that the head coach Brian Daboll doesn't attend pro days. Instead, Daboll prefers to evaluate talent during private workouts. I can understand that. But the fact that Daboll changes plans as one of 14 individuals with the Giants organization to arrive in Boulder, Colorado, does hint that the team is leaning toward drafting one of the Colorado stars in the first round. Sanders had himself quite a day, showing off his accuracy, which is his strong suit. Ain't no doubt about that. He was 58 out of 63. 3 of those passes were dropped. So basically, he had 2 incomplete passes that were basically his fault. Sanders will give the Giants a future under center, even though Shane and Daboll are in a prove-it year. Having Sanders in a room with Wilson and Winston would give the Giants the quarterback depth they needed for years. But there's also Travis Hunter, who is a can't-miss prospect. Can't-miss prospect. It's rare to see a football player play at 2 different positions. What makes it even rarer is that Hunter is a great cornerback and a great wide receiver. Notably, the Giants have needs at both positions. I would love to see them get, I love me some, Darius Slayton. Dude could play on my team 10 ways to Tuesday. If he's going to retire a Giant, I'm all for it, baby. He's just not, he doesn't scare the crap out of it. He's got speed, okay, but he's probably not one of those guys that keeps, other team defensive coordinators up at night. What keeps other teams' defensive coordinators up at night is like the Eagles. Got maybe like Devontae Smith and Brown. You got two dogs, right? If we had Hunter and we had Neighbors, booyah, right? So I can't, because I'm a freaking idiot. There's so many freaking guys out there like me, right? But talking about the draft and draft gurus and stuff like, there's so freaking, and every year there's another 3,000 guys to get it. It's so many. So on that, I can't remember who the guy was, but I've seen his face before, right? As I said, there's so many. I would go freaking bananas keeping up with all these guys, all these draft gurus and stuff. But I've seen this guy before. Anyway, he was on a YouTube video, and I can't remember who he was talking to, but they were talking about, maybe it was, I can't remember. Anyway, but they were talking about, this guy was talking about Travis Hunter, and he said he's a top 5 with hands and stuff like that, as far as what he said. As far as like hands and stuff, it's top 5 wide receiver. In like the past like 10 years. That's what he said. Not top 5 in this draft. He said like top 5 and with this, I guess, like crafty with his hands and catching all that stuff in the past 10 years. So you go back 10 years, there's been some pretty good wide receivers come. Once again, this is all according to this one guy. Right? Yeah, but there's been some pretty good wide receivers come. Yeah, I mean, right? I mean, one thing the Giants also needed, the Giants, we ain't BSing it, but Giants need a lot, right? But one other thing the Giants need, right? That you need explosive players, right? Guys that, I mean, as we've seen with Tracy, he can take it to the house, but he doesn't keep people up at nighttime. Who keeps people up at nighttime? A guy we let go, Saquon Barkley. He keeps people up at nighttime. You need people like that, right? Where they have to scheme. Nobody's like the defensive coordinators for the other teams aren't like up at night drinking pots of coffee. Damn, how are we going to stop that Tracy guy? Oh, my God. Oh, he could put up 5 touchdowns on. Nobody's doing that. If you give him a hole and stuff, sure. Yeah, absolutely. Hey, I love Tracy, man. I hope he's on our team forever. I'm fine with that, but we need someone to scare the crap out of the other team. If you got Wandale, I mean, right? He runs some really good routes, right? Can catch a lot of passes. Hopefully he can stay healthy. But you got Malik and Hunter. Woo, baby, yeah. Now you got 2 dogs, for a long time. It's going to cost you, about $500 billion to keep the 2 of them, but you got your dogs, right? So let me finish this up here. So we got Hunter as a can't miss prospect. It's rare to see a football player in 2 different positions. Notably, Giants have need at both positions. Given that Hunter can play wide receiver, it would give Wilson or Winston a weapon to throw the ball to in 2025. Plus, Shane and Daboll are fighting for their jobs, so getting a player who would make an immediate impact would make sense. Absolutely. Absolutely. Either way, based on Daboll reversing his course, it's starting to feel like a Colorado player, right? Will go 3rd overall to the Giants on April 24th. Whether it's Sanders or Hunter remains to be seen. So, the one thing is, I mean, which you gotta, right? Obviously think about, is they are fighting for their jobs, right? Now we're going to talk about the 2 of them and a little farther down our program here this evening, right? But, drafting like a Carter, immediate impact. Drafting a Hunter, immediate impact. Drafting Shedeur Sanders, especially if Cam Ward's off the board. Drafting Shedeur Sanders is not going to be immediate impact. I mean, just, for whatever, just for shoots and giggles, right? I mean, if you put him in the last 6 games of the season, that means the season's over with. Right? That means that we've got another losing season. And he still ain't, he'll give some excitement and all that, but he's got a lot to learn. Right? He's not going to be any type of immediate impact. So going to be very, very interesting to see, obviously in less than 3 weeks, who the Giants want to take in, But speaking of that, right? Apparently Sanders and Hunter, they both shined at their Colorado Pro Day. They both did pretty well. I mean, you see some video and stuff like that. Hunter looks very, very smooth, nice and smooth. And obviously, Sanders was 58 out of 63. 3 of them were drop passes. So, I mean, that is his accuracy. His accuracy is that's his calling card, right? Ain't no doubt about that, right? I mean, if you keep him in the pocket, right? He can very, very, very good, right? But there's things that we're looking at that Shane and Daboll may not be, or they're looking at stuff differently than we're looking at it, right? So you just don't know. You don't know. I mean, a lot of what I hear is that Sanders might be a little bit of a reach at number 3, but they both had defined pro days. Nope. Shedeur Sanders shows accuracy at the Colorado Pro Day, while Travis Hunter mostly sits it out. But he caught some passes. He did. The biggest wild card of the NFL draft is probably Colorado quarterback Shedeur Sanders. His teammate Travis Hunter is much less of a mystery. So I mean, it's not like, it's with Hunter, it's like he's got, he's got carte blanche. He's got, it's almost like, I'm gonna have a pro. I'll run a couple routes, but dude, come on. So, I mean, if Hunter gets past the Giants at 3, he's not making it out of the top 5. I mean, I'd be shocked. Rather shocked to have somebody like that, make it that far. So, let's see. The Heisman Trophy winner who played more snaps than anyone in college football last season as a two-way player. So, needless to say, there's a lot of tape on the guy, right? We'll mostly let the tape speak for itself. Once again, I don't blame him. What the hell's the guy got to prove? I mean, God, and he's the Heisman Trophy winner, right? That makes sense because he's very unlikely to fall out of the top 5 picks. I'd be shocked if he gets to number 5. Sanders didn't have that luxury, especially who's it? The Patriots are number 4, right? So the thing is with them, I mean, they for them maybe they can take was it Campbell? I think the offensive lineman from LSU. We're going to be talking about him a little later in our program here, right? But I mean, for Drake May, he could use another weapon, right? So I mean, if Hunter were to fall to the Patriots number 4, I mean, they should just hand the card right in. Don't field no call, nothing. Just hand the card in. I mean, so. Sanders didn't have that luxury. Sanders has been speculated to go as high as 2nd overall to the Browns, who sent a group to the Colorado Pro Day that included owner Jimmy Haslam and coach Kevin Stefanski. I'm sorry, excuse me for that. Or perhaps late in the 1st round. So you don't know where Sanders is going to go. Sanders was his normal accurate self at Friday's practice, especially on some deep balls, though it's hard to take too much out of a passing exhibition in shorts and T-shirts with no defense against him. But one throw at 55-yarder with good accuracy to Jimmy Horn Jr. stood out. They got some videos here. His deep ball looked effortless, and he put it where he wanted it to be. Let's see. Eric Galco, I believe his name is, director of football operations for the Shrine Bowl, logged Sanders as completing 58 out of 63 passes during the workout, and 3 of the incompletions were drops. Again, it's far from a game situation, but it should reinforce the accuracy that Sanders displayed throughout his college career. That is his calling card. Accurate. Didn't seem to be the type of pro day workout that has teams buzzing and changing the draft board in a dramatic way, but Sanders reinforced his strengths, which is, you're fine with that, right? The last thing you want to do, I mean, I can see where he'd be a little shaky or this or that or whatever, but, the reason why you have your own pro day is your nerves might, you're throwing to your own players, got your coach telling you where to do so that should calm your nerves. So if you go to a guy's own pro day and he starts throwing the ball over guys' heads or throwing it into the turf and stuff like that, obviously that ain't good. But, Sanders, accuracy, accurate. And that's what they got today. They got to see that firsthand. But once again, being accurate, if I got somebody's 10 yards away from me and I throw a football, I could be accurate. It's not when you got 37 guys rushing down on you trying to rip your freaking head off. I'm not out there trying to read a defense and this. It looks like cover 2, and then they change it to cover 3. Well, it looks like cover 1, and then they pop it to cover 2 as you're dropping back the pass. You're like, whoa, where did the other safety come from? There was supposed to be a oh man, I'm screwed. You know what I mean? Right. So Colorado's Pro Day draws an audience. For most of the 2000s, Colorado's program was far off the map. There wasn't an NFL talent coming through Boulder. No, there wasn't. 2011, cornerback Jimmy Smith and offensive tackle Nate Solder were first-round picks. Before that, the Buffaloes hadn't had a first-round pick since 2003. So when you figure in the past 21, 22 drafts, whatever it winds up being, not including obviously this year. You go from 2003 to 2024, whatever that is, 21, 22 drafts, they've had two players picked in the first round. So, on Friday, Colorado U's Pro Day was televised live by NFL Network. That's big time. The program has come a long way since prime time took over. While Colorado has some possible third-day picks, the show on Friday was all about Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter. Both could end up as top 5 picks. Colorado hasn't had a top 5 pick since Michael Westbrook in 1995. He was a fantastic player. Let me tell you what, boy. He did a very good job for the Eagles. But Sanders had a few more questions to answer than Hunter. With Sanders, the projections on where he might go in the draft vary wildly. Yes, they do. That's because while he was a productive quarterback who elevated the program at Jackson State and then in Colorado, there are concerns about his arm strength, athleticism, and size. He seems to still be in play for the Cleveland Browns at the number 2 pick or could slide in the first round. Yeah, he is a wild card. Tell you what. Deion Sanders, Shedeur's father and Pro Football Hall of Famer, was pumping up both of his stars to the NFL teams. He and Travis Hunter, to me, are the most bankable 2 young men in this draft. What can surprise you? Of course, Deion said on NFL Network, what can surprise you? Shedeur nothing but consistency with some of the dysfunctional situations that I may say that were we placed him in. But he still exceeded all expectations. I think he holds the record for completion percentage in college football, right? He's that guy. And Travis Hunter ain't nobody like him. We can search far and near, and you're not going to find anybody like him. You're talking about consistency of 2 guys that I don't care what happens on that field or in life. You know what they're going to do. Shedeur Sanders made a sales pitch for himself. All I need is an opportunity. Simple, Sanders told ESPN. Whatever franchise wants to change their franchise, then it's no doubt who to go with. I've done it over and over and over, so you'd be a fool not to pick me. Well, hey, you know what I mean? Confidence. You got to have confidence as your quarterback. Now, whether you want to prove it or not, it's a different story, but you want to have a guy with confidence, and that's Shedeur Sanders, without question. Cam Ward, too. So, right? Travis Hunter has some crisp routes. Hunter seems to be a lock to go in the top 5 and could be as high as second to the Browns. Hunter is one of the most fascinating prospects in the NFL draft history. He could be the top cornerback or top receiver in the draft if he picked only one position. He won a Heisman Trophy last season because he was elite at both positions. Teams high in the draft will have to figure out if they want Hunter to be a cornerback, receiver, or both. The Browns have said that they see him as a receiver. Browns general manager Andrew Berry said he sees Hunter primarily as a receiver. Other teams could use him as a cornerback, while teams like the Titans have said that they believe he can do both. Hunter didn't work out at the NFL Scouting Combine, so Friday's Pro Day was supposed to get more data points on a unique athlete. Hunter ran some impressive routes with multiple sudden moves, but did not do much else. Why would he do more, Deion said on NFL Network. Some guys that need it, some guys that have it, and the only thing they can do is hurt it, which is true. That's true. All he can do is hurt himself. He's got 3 years of superb film to his credit. You ain't seen it. What do you need to say? So then we got like Marvin Harrison Jr. last season. Hunter hasn't done many traditional drills in the lead up to the draft, like the 40-yard dash. That shows he is confident that he's a lock to go in the top 5 and has no reason to work out further. Harrison went 4th last season. After 3 quarterbacks went off the board, his draft stock wasn't affected and is unlikely Hunter will fall because he didn't work out, even if some NFL executives would inevitably complain anonymously through the media about it. NFL Draft Day will be big for Colorado. They've had just 6 top 10 NFL draft picks in school history. Wow. It would be a complete shock if Hunter doesn't go in the top 10. God, no, I don't want to talk about it. It's ridiculous. We'll see if Sanders' pro day workout helps him get into that group. Well, I mean, that's joke. That's one thing you obviously you don't know about. That you just don't know about that, right? With Sanders, he's that wild card. It always seems like there's a wild card. Like last year was kind of like McCarthy. Some of them, some of the wild cards. It's like this guy, he keeps going up the boards, like maybe like a McCarthy last year, going up the board. Is he gonna make it into the top 5? Or I mean, the other guys, it's kind of like, well, this guy, he's a top 2 or 3 or 4 pick or whatever. So he could slide back a little bit. So there's always seems like that. Which makes it nice, what I mean? Because it's like Christmas morning. If you run down the steps when you're 7 years old, if you remember Christmas or whatever, and if you knew what all the presents were, take some of the excitement out of it. But I mean, that's the nice thing about the draft. You always get, I mean, it's nice to have those wild cards in there. You don't know, right? And, obviously the Giants have a very good idea, right? I mean, it's almost guaranteed, right? That between Abdul Carter, right, Travis Hunter, and Shedeur Sanders, 2 of those 3 guys are going to be there for the Giants, right? So almost guaranteed, right, that basically can't miss blue chip prospect. One of them is going to be there. That's not Sanders, right? Almost guaranteed that Carter or Hunter is going to be there for the Giants. Can't miss prospects. That's what the Giants need right now. They need can't miss prospects. So, unless, as I said, if the only way, right, one of those guys, both of those guys are not there for the Giants, meaning Carter and Hunter would be, that means Cam Ward's still available. So maybe it means that Cam Ward falls to the Giants. Maybe we have our new starting quarterback going forward. So we'll have to wait and see. So, once again, it doesn't matter what I think, and it doesn't matter. All that matters is what does Brian Daboll, right, or Shedeur Sanders think. That's all. That's all that matters. Brian Daboll or Joe Shane. I'm sorry, Brian Daboll, Joe Shane. That's all that matters. Exactly what do they think? But this is interesting. Now, working as their own entities, meaning that, possibly, this is an article I read, possibly, there's a chance, possibly, we'll have to wait and see. I mean, because, you got to look at it as if, from John Mara's perspective here. Okay. After the season's over, right? I'm just saying. And just say, the Giants, don't have a great season, right? Say they win 5 games. Is that enough? Probably. After the Giants had another top 3 pick, unless they pick Sanders, that would be a little bit of a wild card there. Okay, because then Mara's got to sit back. It's like, we took Sanders. He only played in 4 games. We don't have Russell Wilson in 2026. We got Jameis and Winston as our backup. We could bring Tommy Chicken Cutler Parmesan maybe back. That's quarterback number 3. We have Winston as the backup. Maybe Sanders will be the starter, and maybe we'll see. Because so now Daboll, this will be Daboll's. Next in 2026. So this will be Daboll's first season with his own quarterback playing there the whole time. Let's see how. So we'll have to wait and see, right? But after the 2025 season's over, once again, I hope it doesn't happen. I say the Giants just win 4 or 5 games. Mara's got to sit back and, him and Mr. Tish and whatever, they got to sit back. It's like, we cleaning house or what are we doing here? What are we doing? Then you got to look. I mean, hey, did Shane supply enough talent to the Giants to win more than 5 games? It's like, I mean, are we that bad? He hasn't added that much talent. We're what? I mean, one thing you can look at is look at the team from 2022. Who do we have on the roster? Have we upgraded it? Take the 2 teams. One team won 9 games. This season after 2025, say we won 5 games. It's like, well, the roster's been upgraded, hasn't it? And you look at the team and all that, and yeah, it's been upgraded. Why did we win 9 games in 2022? And with an upgraded roster, we can't win more than 5 games. What's going on here? So, so they're working. They were obviously they're still a team. They're going to be a team obviously until the end, right? I mean, the one nice thing is that which is going on now, which was not happening years ago, right? Meaning 5 years ago, was the problem with Gettleman and Judge. There was like the communication really wasn't much there. It seemed like Gettleman was kind of more like just I'm picking. It wasn't like, let's sit down and let's talk about this. Where do we want to go? Who we think? There wasn't really much of that. It was like Gettleman and Joe. Joe Judge. I'm going to pick, and those are the guys you got to. So there wasn't a lot of that going on there. It was not. They weren't dancing around a campfire, roasting marshmallows, holding hands, singing Kumbaya. There wasn't much of that going on with Gettleman and Judge, and I don't think probably Gettleman and Shermer either. Gettleman was a little rough around the edges there, shall we? What he was doing with his coaches was not what Shane and Daboll. They're kind of they certainly seem like they're kind of thinking like one, right? But, at the end of the day, at the end of the season, I mean, if it's for another crappy season, John Mara's going to be like, well, yeah, I'm saying it was the big thing. It's got, one of 2 ways. It's like, well, we had another crappy season. Did Shane supply Daboll with enough good quality players, especially after we spent all this money in free agency? And another good draft. If we have a good draft this season, we had a good draft last season. We have some nice core players and a lot of good players in free agency, right? Say we get Travis Hunter, we got all these guys. And why did we only win 5 games? Is that Shane's fault? Or is it Daboll's fault? It might be Daboll's fault. Or he has to sit down and think, it's like, Daboll, okay, we only won 5 games. Is that because the players that Shane supplied Daboll with, they stink? I mean, is the team getting downgraded? I mean, as we go along, I mean, we won 9 games. Daboll's coach of the year with the not crappy, but, overachieving team. And, so why are we only winning 3, 4, 5 games now? What the heck's going on there? So is Shane not supplying him with what he needs? Is that what the problem is? So then we got to get rid of Shane, so got some, hopefully we don't have to go there, but where the heck we at here? At 75,000. Bam. All right, here we go. This is from Giants Wire. New York Giants Joe Shane and Brian Daboll are working as separate entities. Following an ugly end to the 2024 season, the New York Giants were expected to fire general manager Joe Shane and head coach Brian Daboll. If not Shane, then most certainly Daboll. Instead, Giants co-owner John Mara opted to keep the regime intact while simultaneously expressing his displeasure. Now that our season is over, we felt it necessary to make this statement. Joe Shane and Brian Daboll will continue their respective roles with the organization, Mara wrote in a statement. As disappointing as a result of the season have been, Steve Tisch and I remain confident in the process that Joe and Brian have implemented and their vision for the team. One thing I do like, right, for the team, right? One thing I do like, I mean, obviously we got some holes on, but it's a young team now too, very young team. he's building a team, but we need to start keeping some of these players together too. Yeah, but it is a young team. Leading up to the announcement, reports suggested that Shane and Daboll would be evaluated separately. They weren't, but are now apparently operating separately. Pat Leonard of the New York Daily News reports that more than at any other point in their tenure, Shane and Daboll are working as separate entities. Mara publicly blamed the previous regime's failures on a lack of communication and collaboration, which is true, between Dave Gettleman and head coach Joe Judge. Yeah, there was like nothing, from what I hear anyway. Right? Shane and Daboll projected a united front and worked as a complementary pairing early on, having arrived together from Buffalo in the first place. So that they both came from Buffalo, right? They have the winning vision, right? They know what it takes to win and all this stuff and everything, right? And they seem to work together very well. But seeming to work together very well and producing on the field can be quite different, right? Gradually, however, the dynamic duo has shifted to this point that Shane and Daboll, now more than ever, are working as separate entities, sources say. This offseason, there have been some notable changes. Many will point to the Daboll's lack of presence at certain pro days, but that isn't unnecessarily outside of his norm. However, he and Shane holding separate press conferences when they had traditionally held joint press conferences is very interesting, because they usually sit down together and talk. Moreover, Leonard reports that there was some hope from members of the front office and personnel department that Daboll would get the boot. Wow, man. Daboll noticeably then met the media alone on January 6th, standing behind a lonely podium inside the Giants' practice facility on the turf. Shane followed that with a solo press conference of his own in the team's indoor auditorium, seated on stage behind a table. The new optics of those press conferences were not lost on anyone inside or outside the building who understands how the organization works. Some sources have said, in fact, that there was some hope on the front office personnel side of having the opportunity to reset with a new coaching staff after the Giants' 3-14 season. But with Daboll retained, a once mutual marriage now feels more like a forced one. Whether Shane and Daboll are working in tandem or not, and whether their union is forced or not, they both share a common goal: winning. With that, they'll both find themselves, without winning, they'll both find themselves in the street at the same time next year. Well, once again, that does remain to be seen. Yeah, that remains to be seen. That's because he has to sit down and, Mara, right, and whoever, and Mr. Tisch and all, have to sit down. It's like, the Giants spend all this, and they spent a lot of money in free agency, but you can't say, well, we spent $200 million. It was a little more than that, but just say $200 million. Well, the Giants spent $200 million in free agency. They brought in two quarterbacks. Out of that $200 million, 130 of it is quarterbacks. No. So we brought in, we spent, between Daboll and Holland, we spent some money. But they also brought in a bunch of other guys, low price guys. But I mean, as of right now, it's like $15-16 million that they dished out for Winston and Wilson. So, they say they've spent a lot of money on other free agents. As I'm saying, so after the season's over with, if it's a dumpster fire, once again, I don't know if it's going to be that easy just to say, well, we won 5 games this year. We're just not getting any better. Get rid of Shane and Daboll. Just get rid of everybody. Just blow the whole thing up. You just sit down. It's like, how is the team? Because Shane ain't calling plays. He's not the defensive coordinator. He's not putting guys in position. He's not, right? He's not calling plays. He's not running pass back. I said, did Shane supply the team with good enough players? I mean, if the answer is yes, maybe Shane's doing his job. Maybe we just need another coach in there, right? So, or once again, I mean, it's like I'd have a hard time to think that they would if we only win 5 games, that Daboll would stay and Shane would be gone. I mean, I'd have I'd be shocked at that one, right? The only thing it'd be pretty much either one or two things. If it's another dumpster fire, right, would wind up being either they're both gone or Daboll's gone and Shane stays. Yeah. If we get another good draft class, right, like we did last year, I mean, I'm sure there'll be other good coaches out there that have done more with less. Now, we don't have a super spectacular quarterback situation or not. I mean, we don't have Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes or something like that. But bring in Russell Wilson, that's an upgrade. How much of an upgrade, we'll have to wait and see. But, I think Shane's been supplying with some pretty decent ball players. I said, let's get another good draft here, another good draft class. We got, was it 5 picks in the top 105? I think it is. 1, 2, yeah. Right. Our 4th round pick is pick 105. So basically we have almost 5 picks in the top 100. So if you can hit on those 5, man, that would be freaking fantastic. That would be freaking fantastic. So we will have to wait and see. But, first of all, obviously got a long way to go before it's another dumpster fire of a season. All right. But so now this real quick. So the Giants have announced some of the OTAs, the mini camp, and mandatory workout dates and all that stuff. So it's amazing. I mean, it seems like the Super Bowl was just a couple of weeks ago, and I mean, they're gonna have some guys coming in a couple of weeks. Crazy after the draft, right? I mean, the draft only 3 weeks from now, right? We're gonna have some guys showing up. I mean, crazy, ain't it? That's what I love about football, man. That's the one thing it doesn't like lull you to sleep. It's not like the Super Bowls. I mean, like obviously, heck, you go back, now you do. I mean, we're going back a ways, but the draft used to be held in like December, right? The championship, there was no Super Bowl. I mean, you go back far enough. The championship game was in December. The draft was in December. There was no pro days. There was none of this crap, right? So basically, when January 1st rolled around, there's no free agency. There wasn't any free agents. There was no draft. There was no pro days. No combine. You know what I mean? And the season was over with by the end of December. So you got January, February, March. I don't know when they started coming in for training camp and all that. I have no idea. But there probably had to be months went by with anything going on. But I mean, if you go back far enough, there was no Super Bowl. The championship game didn't make it to January. The championship games were in December. You go back far enough, right? The draft was in December, if not November or December. If you go back far enough, the draft did not make it to the following season. It was by the end of the year. And I said there was no combine, there was no pro days, there ain't no free agency, right? And I said, and the draft happened like in December. So I mean, so once the championship game was over, by the end of, it was like around Christmas, maybe the 28th of December, somewhere around there. Boom, it was over. Months. It was like nothing, right? So, but the way they got it worked out right now, I mean, it's like almost always something going on, right? If there's not something going on, you got to wait a week, maybe 10 days for something to go on. You know what I mean? But I mean, free agency still kind of going on. But now we got the pro days sprinkled in there, right? We got like 20 days. Actually, right now it's 12:25 in the morning. So it's so we got what, like 19 days or so until Thursday, the draft. I mean, right? So 19, 20 days. It's less than 3 weeks to the draft. I mean, just crazy. So that's what I love about the football season, boy. There's always, I said, there's like, I can't remember what the dates are, but it's like June 10th to like July 20th or something like that. There's like 5 weeks where everybody just goes home. There's no mini camp or none of that. But when they come back, it's on. Training camp, preseason, Hall of Fame, preseason games, right? And then it's on, baby. So watch out. All right, here we got real quick here. So we got some. What's up, buddy? Come on in, brother. Come get some loving. So the Giants 2025 offseason workout, OTA, and minicamp dates were announced. The voluntary offseason program is creeping closer. Hey, gotta love it, baby. It's not football, but the NFL has offered a small glimmer that football is returning by releasing the offseason workout, OTA, and minicamp dates for the Giants and the rest of the teams in the NFL. Now, let's not also forget here, too, right, that right around the draft, that's when the schedule gets released too, right? I mean, the NFL, the NFL Network, has a show, whatever, 8 o'clock, 7 o'clock at night, but the schedule gets, somebody releases the schedule, so you know when you're playing, but it's usually that day. Like the show is Friday or whatever, Wednesday, whatever that day of the week is. That it usually gets leaked out in the morning, so you kind of know. But I mean, so let's not forget a couple of weeks and we know who we're playing, right? How many Monday night games, Thursday, Sunday, right? How many prime time, right? We're going to play the Cowboys for the 37th year in a row on Thanksgiving. Ruin my Thanksgiving. Giants offseason workout schedule is as follows. First day will be April 21st. OTA off-season workouts are May 27th through 29th, June 2nd and 3rd, June 5th, June 9th, 10th, June 12th, and 13th. So they have, so the OTAs, organized team activity, off-season workouts, is 10 of them, right? So you got May 27th to 29th, June 2nd and 3rd, June 5th, June 9th and 10th, and June 12th and 13th. You got 10 days. 10 OTA off-season workouts, 10, right? Mandatory mini camp, June 17th through 19th. Let's not forget, I mean, the rookies come in, they come in like right after the draft and they get their, I guess, their uniform, all that stuff and everything. But so mandatory mini camp is June 17th to the 19th. The dates of each team post-draft rookie minicamps will be released at a later date. So that's the rookies, right? You got their rookie minicamps, but that'll be released a little bit later. That means the Giants will convene as a team for the first time just days before round one of the draft on April 24th. As per the collective bargaining agreement, each team's voluntary 9-week off-season program is conducted in 3 phases. Right? Phase 1 consists of the first 2 weeks of the program with activities limited to meetings, strength and conditioning, and physical rehabilitation only. And if you start messing around with that, it could cost you either like a fine or maybe a draft pick. So that's not something you want to screw around with. Keep it to a T, right? Phase 2 consists of the next 3 weeks of the program. On-field workouts may include individual or group instructions and drills, as well as perfect play drills. And drills and plays with offensive players lining up across from offensive players and defensive players lining across from defensive players, conducted at a walk-through pace. No live contact or team offense versus team defense drills are permitted. Once again, keep it to a T. Don't mess around with it. Start messing around with it, you're going to get probably fined, maybe lose a draft pick or something like that. Don't want to screw around with that. Phase 3 consists of the next 4 weeks of the program. Teams may conduct a total of 10 days of organized team practice activities, or OTAs. No live contact is permitted, but 7-on-7, 9-on-7, and 11-on-11 drills are permitted. Clubs may hold 1 mandatory minicamp for veteran players. This minicamp noted below must occur during phase 3 of the offseason program. So Now, the one thing, if you remember, right, usually what winds up happening is when you have like mandatory, right, players all have to show up and come in and all that stuff and everything. If you got somebody's a little disgruntled, right, that's when so and so is holding out. He's holding out for more money, right? Well, remember we had Darius Slayton last season. I don't blame him. I don't blame him. And they unfortunately, they threw in some incentives for him. Right? If you, I don't even remember what they were. But it's like if you make so many catches, get so many yards, whatever, you get extra money. And I don't think because his unfortunately for him, his targets went way down, his receptions went down, his yards went down. I mean, when Malik Nabers and Wando Robinson, between the two of them, had over 300 targets, they had over 200 receptions. I mean, something's got to give. When the offense scores like 2 points a game, and you have 300 pass targets go to two guys, right, and you're not one of them, meaning you're Darius Slayton, your production is going to come down. So basically, all the incentives that they gave him there, which is pretty much just wipe your butt with them and just flush it down the toilet because it ain't happening, right? That's why I love me some Darius Slayton. After all of that, right, the guy got, the incentive. He was held out for some more money. Once again, I don't blame the guy. And they threw these BS incentives at him that were never going to happen, right? And he stuck around with the team, right? Played, right? Model teammate. I'm not saying he's an all pro, just a model teammate. Really, really good guy. And then he signs back with the team again. I love me some Darius Slayton. Great teammate. Is he going to be the reason why we win a Super Bowl? No, but I'm happy he's back on the team. Really, really happy he's back on the team. But as I said, you shouldn't hopefully have that this season. It seems, right? Like, you don't hear any rumblings, anybody's pissed off or anything like that. You know what I mean? So, as of right now, Malik is still doing okay. It's going to be interesting to see once we get into like Malik's third season or something, or when they can maybe redo it, maybe add on to his contract or something like that. See if Malik holds out. It'll be interesting to see, right? But as of right now, I think everybody's holding hands, singing Kumbaya and all that stuff and everything. So I think everybody's hopefully will show up for the most part. But there shouldn't be anybody holding out for more money. And that won't be the case with every team. But hopefully for the Giants, knock on wood, when it comes time for being mandatory, everybody should wind up showing up. Right? Unless obviously there's a, some, whatever, well, I hate to even say it. I feel bad, but I just saw, I don't know what happened, but like say something like this would happen, and which actually did happen. I saw an article that sadly Drew Lock's father passed away. Now, if it's time for mandatory minicamp, right, and your father just passed away, well, guess what? You're excused. I'm sorry. I don't know what happened, but I just saw an article. Apparently, his father just passed away. I'm saying if something like that were to happen, somebody would certainly be excused. But other than that, all the Giants, hopefully when it's time for mandatory minicamp, hopefully everybody should show up. So, all right, then we got Mr. Winston and his contract details. Now, there's nothing crazy here, but there are some incentives here, obviously, for him. But the one thing I do like, I think his contract, I think it says in his article, it goes $3 million toward the cap, right? So 2 years, $8 million, right? With incentives, right? But with the 2 years, $8 million, right? This season, he counts $3 million toward the cap. Next season, obviously, when the cap goes up, he'll count $5 million toward it. Now, this should, once again, if he comes back next season, if we say, whatever, we got Tommy Chicken Cutler, Parmesan, if we draft a quarterback this season, we have a cheap quarterback room. Cheap. Even if we draft Shedeur at number 8, just saying, Number 8. Hold on. We draft him at number 3. I think it's $8 million. I think. I think the number 1 pick's around 10. Number 2 pick, I think, is around 9. The number 3 pick, I think, is around 8. That's where the 8 came from. But even if we drafted Shedeur at number 3, that would be $8 million. I'm saying next season would be $8 million for Shedeur, would be $5 million for Winston, and if we took Johnny Chicken Cutlet Parmesan, that would be $14 million for 3 quarterbacks. That's the time, obviously, when you want to just start bringing in good talent and try to get to the promised land while the quarterback's on his rookie contract. But all right, so Mr. Winston here. Jameis and Winston contract details reveal truth about the Giants' future. New York Giants quarterback Jameis Winston contract is official, locking him into East Rutherford for 2 seasons at a very manageable. I mean, once again, is he Hall of Fame quarterback? No. Is he this? No. Is he that? No. But we have $4 million a season. The guy threw for over 5,000. I mean, it was a couple years ago, right? He was on a different team. Okay, I got it. The dude threw for over 30 touchdowns. Well, he also threw 30 interceptions. But for $4 million, he's on the cheap. Before the Giants signed quarterback Russell Wilson to start in 2025, they signed his backup, Jameis Winston. Perhaps the most entertaining non-starter in the league, Giants fans were enthralled at the idea that he might lead the quarterback room into the new season. Hey, man, I ain't got no problem with that. Fun football at a fraction of the cost of most starters might not be a recipe for success. No, it wouldn't be, but it would lead to some excitement, that's for sure. But it promised to be different than essentially every year of the post-Eli Manning football. Absolutely, without question. Those dreams were put to rest when Wilson put pen to paper on a 1-year, $10.5 million deal. However, Winston's contract, 2 years at $8 million, total of $8 million, means he'll likely have a spot on the 2026 team, too, regardless of what happens in the meantime with Wilson. On Thursday, the truth of Winston's full contract details were revealed by Dan Dugan as the Giants' offseason slows down. According to Dugan, $5.3 million of Winston's contract is guaranteed, and there are $8 million in unspecified incentives. So basically, he's not going to reach the incentive, all of them anyway, even if he does reach some of them, but it could be worth up to $16 million if he were to reach all the incentives, which once again, I'm sure he's probably not going to. Let's see. He will cost $3 million against the cap this season and $5 million against the cap next season. If New York does decide to move on after 2025, releasing Winston would come with a reasonable $2.5 million dead cap hit. However, with Winston signed to a 1-year deal and a rookie quarterback on the way in April, well, we think, or in 2026 either, right? NFL draft, the former first overall pick should be the favorite to be a holdover on next year's squad, which is true. I mean, you figure even if, even if things go, it's a dumpster fire once again, right? The new regime comes in, may not want to keep Wilson, but for $5 million to keep Jameis Winston, I mean, they could certainly get rid of him too. If a new regime comes in, get rid of him, and it will only cost them a couple $1 million of dead cap money. But I mean, this is just me. I'm not coaching the team, but I mean, have somebody with Jameis Winston's, caliber talent as a backup for next season costs you only $5 million. I mean, remember, of course, Drew Lock cost us $5 million last season, right? I'd rather, Drew Lock might be a little bit better with the ball, but I mean, Jameis Winston can put some points up on the board. He can move the ball. He can also throw some interceptions too. But once again, he would be exciting, right? Let's see. Dugan also noted that per the NFLPA, New York has the least cap space in the NFL, $1.9 million. That isn't necessarily an issue. The front office found its quarterbacks and made several key additions to the secondary. Depth on both sides of the ball and special teams were addressed too. Yes, they were. Don't expect the Giants to spend on any of the remaining free agents that won't require much more than a league minimum. Yep. You know, if there's a guy out there, you know, a good, just say guard or good this or that, and he's 7, 8, 9 million. Nah. Nope. Giants spent their money. New York's may still add a rookie passer in the NFL draft, specifically Colorado's Shedeur Sanders, who figures to come off the board as the class's second quarterback. Winston, though, seemed happy to contribute in any way possible, whether that be in relief or as a mentor. You know, that's another one of the things I love about Winston. Good attitude. Whether winning, losing, whatever. You want to have somebody, you know, on the team that has a good, positive attitude, and that's Jameis Winston. Yeah, absolutely. I knew a free agent signing was going to come, or maybe even a draft pick was going to come, he said at his introductory presser, meaning Jameis Winston. But that's their business. My business is today, and today I have the privilege of finally becoming a Giant. So, you know, that's why that's one thing I love about positive attitude. As I said, is Jameis Winston taking us to a Super? No. Yeah. Right. Is he going to be a all pro? No. Probably not. Yeah. But he's cheap. He can move the ball. He can throw the ball. He's got a good arm, and we got a good target for him. Right. This is if he has to play, or if he, or next season too. Right. And if we can get Hunter, man, we might have two phenomenal targets to throw the ball to. Like I said, positive attitude, just wants to be here. Obviously, of course, he wants to play. But, we'll have to wait and see. But once again, he's on the cheap. He's really, really on the cheap. All right. Okay, now we got this one here. Yeah, this one was kind of like floating around there, like Mr. Milton there. The Giants, they need, could use a quarterback, right? I mean, unless they're going to take, Sanders or something like that. But it's kind of like, almost regardless, okay, of who the quarterback was going to be, they were going to have to sit on a sideline and learn, right? Maybe develop, learn the system and all that stuff, right? And everything, right? I don't even know. Number one, Cam Ward falls to the Giants at number 3. I don't even know if he would be, put him right in. He'd be sitting on the sideline for a while, right? The same thing with Joe Milton. I mean, he's floating around, all, and, unfortunately, well, I don't know. You don't know, right? But he's going to be a Cowboy, right? So we'll have to wait and see how he does. But, they got him for, possible, future starting quarterback. Once again, possible for relatively cheap, right? I think it was a 3rd round, a 5th round pick, something like that. So, but, all right. So Joe Milton won't be a New York Giant, but he will be a Dallas Cowboy. Patriots deal the 2024 6th round pick to the Giants' NFC East rival. So, I mean, once again, this also might be kind of telling you something a little bit, right? Because what did Jerry Jones do a couple of years ago, right? He traded for Trey Lance. Well, how did that work out? So, we'll have to wait and see. Many New York Giants fans have banged the drum this offseason for the team to acquire Joe Milton from the New England Patriots as a potential quarterback of the future. The only thing, the thing is now is if they did, something's got to give, right? If they draft another quarterback, they got 4 of them. They can only keep like 3 on the roster. They would have to put 1, on the practice squad. And if that's Tommy Chicken Cutlet Parmesan, there's a good chance he's going to get picked up. Because he's won some games. He's got quarterback. He's got some experience, and he's won some games. So whoever they wind up throwing on the practice squad might wind up getting plucked up. So if they draft the quarterback, they're not putting a guy in. Right? Unless they draft the quarterback in the 7th round from Chuck E. Cheese State. Right? They might put him on the practice squad. But I mean, if Tommy Chicken Cutlet Parmesan goes on the practice squad, there's a chance he might get scoffed up. Well, Patriots had traded Milton to the Cowboys along with a 7th round pick in exchange for a 5th rounder. Milton, a 6th round pick for the Patriots a year ago, will now back up Dak Prescott with the Cowboys. Diana Rossini reported that multiple teams were interested in Milton. The Giants were reportedly one of those teams. Jordan Schultz said, "My understanding is since Joe Milton became available at the start of the offseason, teams that showed interest included the Raiders, the Eagles, the Giants, the Steelers, and the Cowboys." Now, the Raiders need a quarterback, the Giants need a quarterback, Steelers need a quarterback, and the Cowboys could use a backup quarterback. Now, the Eagles, I guess, for a backup quarterback, I guess. Right. So the Patriots are trading quarterback Joe Milton III to the Cowboys. Milton opened eyes in Week 18 by completing 22 of 29 passes, 75.9% for 241 yards and a touchdown as the Patriots upset the Bills. New England, though, drafted Drake May, number 3 overall last season, and he is their quarterback of the future and the present and the future. Milton played collegiately at Tennessee. His arm was never in question pre-draft, though. He could do the things any NFL quarterback needs to do. Here is Greg Cosell's scouting report on Milton before the 2024 draft. Milton was likely to be a polarizing prospect as NFL teams evaluate him and envisions his transition to the next level. Milton ran one of the purest versions of the air raid passing game with an emphasis on no huddle, fast tempo, widespread formations, and pure progression reads. The quarterback is not taught to understand the subtleties, and nuances of specific defenses and coverages, and a high percentage of the throws are predetermined. So, so you got to keep all this stuff in mind. There will be significant questions and discussions about whether Milton has or can develop the needed elimination and isolation traits needed to work effectively between the numbers and the hashes. Can Milton throw with needed anticipation and timing? That question needs to be satisfactorily answered. Teams must determine whether he can throw with any sense of timing and efficiency into tighter zone windows. Tennessee's passing game featured a high percentage of predetermined throws, and Milton's 2023 tape showed numerous examples in which he threw to the wrong receiver based on the coverage. But that was the play call, and he threw it. Milton will have to be introduced to NFL passing concepts and progressions. You will also see defensive fronts and coverage structures that will be brand new to him. So, once again, guys, obviously running around, and there we go. Running around is one thing, and in some of these college schemes and stuff like that. In the pros, things are a little bit different. So a guy can look really good, right? I mean, I can't remember the guy's name. There was a guy who played. I can't remember. It was back in the 90s, I think it was. He played for Houston. College. I think he threw like 74 touchdown passes one season. Yeah, I'm like, 74. Just this guy's a Hall of Famer. He got drafted and he sucked. So once again, some guy, he can. A lot of guys can throw footballs. Hard to believe, right? A lot of guys can throw footballs, but throwing a football in college and sometimes throwing a football in the NFL is two different things. So we'll have to wait and see. I mean, Milton apparently has a gun. there was one of the throws that he made in the game last season. It was just like, phew, what the heck was he? He was like scrambling, running, and just before I think he scrambled out to his left, and he was out there, and just before I think he was going to get nailed, he clung the ball into like 20, 30 yards down the field, whatever it was, into the end zone to a tight one. The guy caught it. And, oh man, it was, I mean, just cannon for an arm. You know, really, really a cannon for an arm. I said, but once again, you know, doing stuff like that in college and doing it in the pros is different. I mean, because you know, when stuff is predetermined for you, you know, we're going to run this, and that's the receiver you're going to throw to, right? When you're dropping back, and all of a sudden the coverage switches, and you're like, oh man, I don't know who I'm throwing, you know, and you only got 2-3 seconds at the most to get rid of the ball, and you got guys trying to rip your head off and all that and everything. You know, it can be quite different, right? Once again, not everybody can do it. If everybody could do it, you know, we wouldn't have a quarterback shortage in the NFL. All right, but so this is a good edge rushing class. So if you know, and once again, if it winds up being where the Browns take Abdul Carter at number 3, number 3, number 2, I don't blame them at all. Especially if they got just paid Myles Garrett. I think it's $400 million a year, $400 or $500 million a year. He's like half $1 trillion a year he's making now. But he's unbelievable. That was a if I remember, Andrew, I can't remember what his pass blocking grade was. Andrew Thomas's against Myles Garrett. It was pathetic. Yeah, Garrett just ate him up. Right. So I mean, Garrett's unbelievable. But I mean, if they take Carter at number 2, Carter on one side, maybe, you know, and Garrett on the other side, something like that, and they'd have themselves some good 2 phenomenal rushers. So, but this is a very good class for edge rushers. Now, if the Giants wanted to, now we lost Aziz, but we brought Golston in, right? You know, right? Might be like could be somewhat of a trade-off, maybe, right? But Aziz was very special, right? When he was healthy with the Giants. Now he wasn't quite a phenomenal run defender, but there was no denying when he was healthy, he was on the field as a rusher, you know, he made things happen. He certainly made things happen. But we kind of replace him with Colston. But if the Giants wanted to, you know, you can never have too many good edge rushers, right? But I'm saying the Giants wanted to, you know, let me share the screen here. Pop this. Whoop, wrong one. Let's share my screen. So show. Once again, it's all PFF. It's all it's going by here. Is this the one here? Yep, sure looks like it. All right. Yeah, once again, it's all PFF. It's all it's going by here, right? Okay, so obviously we got Abdul Carter, but I mean, according to PFF, I think there was 17 or 18 guys or something like that they had rated like in the top 100 edge rushers. I mean, top 100 guys coming out in this draft class are edge rushers. So, I mean, basically almost like 1 out of every 5 or 6 guys that PFF has graded in the top 100 on the draft board is an edge rusher. So the Giants got 5 picks, right? So, I mean, if you know, I'm not saying you're going to get like a Lawrence Taylor come crashing off the edge here, pick number 75 or something, whatever. But, you know, you can get yourself probably a pretty good quality edge rusher in their top 5 picks, right? Obviously, Abdul Carter, he may not even be there. Once again, if the Browns take him at number 2, I don't blame him one bit. But you know what that would mean? It would probably mean that Hunter would be there at number 3 for the Giants. But then in the thumbnail, right, for this video, got Mike Green from Marshall. Now, once again, I mean, he graded out at a 92.4, according to PFF, which was the second highest graded edge rusher, right? But once again, it was Marshall, but he's 6'4", 248. Green has only 2 years of starting experience, though, and not the best competition to measure NFL talent over. So you got to keep that in mind. But the one thing you want to do is when you're playing against subpar talent, you want to dominate. That's what he did, right? And once again, PFF has him the 12th guy. Their 12th ranked player in the whole draft. However, he absolutely dominated the way you'd want a future NFL player to do with an elite pass rush and run defense skills. Run defense. In addition to high 90 percentile numbers in win rate and run stops, he has top 50 all-around ability and projects as a starting caliber outside linebacker in a 3-4 front. Now, the thing is, well, unfortunately for the Giants, like if they don't wind up taking Carter, right, at number 3, a lot of these guys are going to be gone by the time the Giants are picking. And I can't see the Giants jumping back into the first round to draft an edge rusher. I just can't see that happening. Yeah. But hey, stranger things happen. But I mean, a lot of these guys will be off the board by the time the Giants pick at number 34. Then we got James Pierce Jr. from Tennessee. He graded out an 87.1. Pierce is the kind of athlete with the production and disruption scores you don't let out of the first round. His twitchy movements show difference-making NFL traits and can be situational at worst and an all-pro at best. So he can, same kind of thing like what happened like last, I guess maybe with Aziz. Aziz was situational, right? Wasn't in there all the time. Same thing could be here with Pierce. So maybe at worst he can be situational, meaning like he could be your third edge rusher, right? Or if you want 3 rushers on the field at the same time, you can bring him in maybe. Or at the best, he can be an all-pro. So then they got Donovan, I have no even idea, from Boston College, who's ranked number 16 overall. He graded out a 90. Michael Williams, or Michael, I'm not sure if it's Michael or Michael Williams, is the 26th graded guy from Georgia. He's 6'5", 265. Stewart from Texas A&M, 6'6", 290 pounds. Then they got Scarton from Texas A&M, 6'4", 285. Some big guys. But what you'll notice here, right, is in the first round, right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So out of the top 32, on PFF's board in the draft, 7 of them are edge rushers. So there's a lot of edge rushers. A lot of them are going to go. Now, maybe one falls. Maybe, I don't know, maybe it's this guy here, Scarton from Texas A&M, falls to the Giants. Yeah, maybe, right? I mean, but I tell you what, if they take themselves an edge rusher early on, or somebody in the defensive line early on, I would love that. Absolutely love that. Then you got Landon Jackson from Arkansas, 6'7", 280. And they got Princely, I'm not even going to bother, from Ole Miss, 6'4", 255. Braden Swinson from LSU. JT from Ohio State. Then you got 2 of them from Ohio State, right? I mean, obviously you don't win a national championship if you got a bad team, right? Well, they got the 51st and 56th ranked players from PFF are guys from Ohio State, both edge rushers, right? Both of them are 6'5", one's 260s, one's 269. Sawyer graded out at a 90.5. The other guy graded at 86.2. So it might be somebody to keep an eye on for the Giants, maybe in the 3rd round, right? So let's not forget, we got the first pick in the 3rd round. You got Jared Ivey from Ole Miss, 6'6". Kyle Kennard from the Gamecocks, 6'5". And then you got another guy from Michigan. They got a ton of guys coming out early. Stewart, who's only 6'1", though, not very impressive there. Stewart is juiced up pass rusher with less than ideal measurables. Yeah. His effort and leverage give him a chance to win any rep, but he lacks pass rusher nuance to win with more than those attributes and a good first step. His best spot in the NFL might be as an off-ball Sam linebacker, so that he can be used as a blitzer more than just as a straight edge defender. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, 6'1", 245. I mean, Although, I mean, if you look here, he graded out at a 91.2, which was the 5th ranked edge rusher in all of college football. So then you got Birch from Oregon, 6'6", 295. So he's got nice size. Elijah Roberts from SMU, 6'4", 295. And then David Walker from Central Arkansas, 6'2", 260. He was the number 1 ranked edge rusher in all college football. David Walker from Central Arkansas, 6'2", 260, graded out at 94.6, the number 1 guy in all college football. But once again, Central Arkansas. He's not playing against LSU and Alabama every week, I can tell you that much. But Walker is a highly productive and decorated FCS player. His size limitations will make him a day 3 pick at best. So day 3 pick means 4th round. So, but he mitigates it as best as he can and is a high effort player who lives in backfields. Some teams will likely take a flyer on him late as a stand-up pass rush specialist. So, right. So I said, but I mean, there's a ton of other guys. I mean, this is a good edge rush class without question. So, I mean, so the Giants, wind up, don't get the opportunity to take Carter. I said, once again, I said it, 74 times so far. I said, the Browns, wind up taking Carter at number 2. Once again, I said, I can't blame them one bit. But, I said, but that will leave the Giants with Hunter or Shedeur Sanders, right? But I would kind of lean, hopefully, maybe taking more, maybe unless the Giants are just flat out sold on Shedeur Sanders. But I would kind of lean him to maybe taking Hunter with pick number 3. But as I said, but then that leaves defensive tackles, and edge rushers. It would be phenomenal if the Giants could either add another good edge rusher or get a tackle in there, beef up that defensive line. Once again, I've said 1,000 times, you never have too many edge rushers. And then, speaking of that, you can never have, I guess you can have too many tackles, but there's another good class. The class is not super phenomenal for a lot of things, but there are a decent amount of tackles. I mean, once again, we're going to go through the PFF's top 100, right? And in the top 100, I think it was like 15 tackles they got, right? So, I mean, this guy here, we're going to go over, he's the number 1 ranked, according to PFF, tackle coming out in the class. Now, I'd be shocked if the Giants took a tackle, but something you got to think about, right? Is the Giants, are they going to go best player available? Like, I don't know. If there's a really good tackle that falls to pick number 34, would they take a tackle instead of taking best player available who fills a need? There's a difference there. Best player available? Well, best player available is a defensive nose guard. Well, we don't need it because we got Sexy Dexy. They're going to take the Giants. Going to take best player available who fills a need for them. So, but the Giants, you figure if Illuminor, right, this is like a season that we have them under contract, right? I mean, we got we brought in a couple swing tackles who were just swing tackles who are not somebody you want to have as starting tackles. Illuminor's this might be his final season. You don't know. I mean, if he has another good season, maybe the Giants bring him back, and maybe he's our right tackle again next season. You don't know. But Illuminor's not a spring chicken, right? If Shane and Daboll are back again next season, they might bring Illuminor back. Once again, we don't know. But sooner or later, the Giants are going to probably need a tackle, right? It is a good class to take a tackle in. Very good class. I mean, the Giants, they should definitely take an offensive lineman within the first, hopefully, their top, 5 picks. Hopefully one of them should be an offensive lineman. Right? We got let's see. Pick 3, 34. I think it's 65, 99, and 105. So in one of those, we should be taking an offensive lineman. Right? If one of those is a guard, that's going to kind of tell you a little bit about what they think about maybe Evan Neal. If one of those is a center, might be tell you what they kind of, unless it's a center / guard who can do all 3, then that would be cool. That would be cool. But if they take a tackle at one of those picks, right? 3, 34, 65, 99, and 105, right? Tackle, that means that maybe they might be the last season for Luminor. But I mean, somewhere along the line, the Giants could probably use the tackle. So let me go over here. But I said once again, it was a very good class. See, I gotta find it. This might be it here. Let's see. Hit it. Boom. Okay, so let's go tackle. Tackles. All right, here we go. So Will Campbell, number 66 from LSU. He's like he's apparently, according to PFF, he's the number 1 ranked tackle coming out in the class, right? Campbell is an offensive lineman. He approaches the position with excellent respect for what it takes to be a great in the trenches, fundamentals, IQ, and competitive toughness. His length and flexibility limitations might push him inside in the NFL, but this is a starting caliber player at all 5 spots on the line. Well, very impressive. Then you got, I saw Membao, I think it is. I've seen, I think the Giants traded back in somebody's mock draft and they wound up taking him. So he graded out at a 90.6, which is the 5th best tackle graded in all of football, college football. Membao presented a high athletic ceiling in 2023 before his confidence and control took off in 2024. There are times when he could play with more power, but he brings starting caliber length and movement ability to the NFL with good production as a zone blocker. And come to think of it, say as a zone, good production as a zone blocker. Now, if you drafted him, now, I mean, the Giants ain't drafting him unless they fall back down, unless they trade back. So they're not taking him. But as a zone blocker, okay, if you drafted him and put him obviously on the right side and you put Evan Neal as the right guard, Evan Neal was the 4th best NFL tackle, zone run blocking tackle in the NFL last season. He graded out like a little bit over a 90. So if you got Membao, who's a good zone blocker, you put those 2 on the one side, man, you might have something there. But unless the Giants trade back, they're not drafting this guy. There's Josh Simmons. Now, let's not forget, one of these guys obviously could slip down the board a little bit for whatever reason, right? And the Giants are picking at 34. I would love to see the Giants at number 34 pick somebody on the line, whether it's defensive line or offensive line. So we got Josh Simmons from Ohio State. Unfortunately, he lacks a bit of power in the run game and is coming off an ACL tear in 2024. But his movement skills and football intelligence make him worthy of a top 50 pick and a shot to be a starter early on. So he might be coming off an ACL tear. He might be somebody maybe slips down the board, especially if the NFL teams don't think he'd be up to par maybe by the time the season's getting ready to start. I'll have to wait and see. Then there's Kelvin Banks, who's number 20. Now I'm going to show you once again, Gray Zabel, number 29. Okay, so we got what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So in the first round, according to PFF, out of the top 32 ranked players, 5 of them are offensive tackles. There's a good offensive tackle, but I mean, there's a lot of tackles after this too in the top 100, according to PFF anyway. And there's Connerly from Oregon. Ursery from Minnesota, Jackson from Ohio State, Trapillo, looks like from Boston College, 6'8". Ooh, man. That's a tall dude. Marcus Mbow from Purdue, 6'5". Jonah, I'm not even going to pronounce that, from Arizona, 6'5". Wyatt Millam from West Virginia, 6'6". Cameron Williams, 6'5", from Texas. Charles Grant from William and Mary. And okay, good. Then we got Anthony Belton from North Carolina State. He's 6'6". So, but if you look in the top 100 guys, right, tackles, right, you got 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. 15 guys out of the top 100, according to PFF, anyway. That's all I'm going by. 15. So that was what, 75? It's like basically 1 out of every 7 guys that PFF has, okay, is a tackle. So once again, is a good tackle class. Not exactly sure. We'll have to wait and see. The Giants are going to pull the plug on drafting a tackle, especially if somebody who may not start this season, because if they got a Luminor and we got Andrew Thomas, we got our tackles. It's like, do they want to take a flyer on somebody and one of their top 5 picks? They said 3, 34, was it 65? I think 99 and 105. They want one of those picks on a tackle who may not play much this season. Maybe they put him in a jumbo package or something like that, but may not play a whole heck of a lot. But maybe they might have him for next season. We'll have to wait and see. Once again, it's going to also be interesting to see, as always, because with Shane, drafting, is he doing like maybe what's best for the team now and the long run? Or, like taking a tackle, say at 105. Just saying taking a tackle at 105. It's like, all right, then it's like, okay, well, maybe he might be the tackle for next season, but he's not really going to help the team this season. So it's like, the Giants need help this season, where Shane and Daboll may not be around to see the fruits of their labor next season, right? So it'll be interesting to see. Do the Giants take anybody in those top 5 picks who aren't have a possibility of making an impact like right away? It could be simple as like grabbing another edge rusher, right? If you draft an edge rusher and he looks kind of promising, he's going to get some time. But you just brought you got Burnsy, you got Kayvon, right? Who you're probably going to pick up his 5th-year option on. You got Burnsy, who's making $29 million this season. You just brought Golston in. Right, so if they draft an edge rusher, unless it's Carter, right? But if they draft an edge rusher, say in the 3rd round or something like that, he's going to be kind of situational. He might get 15 snaps a game, maybe 20, somewhere around there, right? But he's not going to have a huge impact, right? And I said that's what the Giants need this year. They need guys who can go in there and make an impact, because if it's once again, if it's another dumpster fire of a season, Shane and Daboll may not be around for it. But as far as I just, sure, this is a good, actually, I've done 4 so far. The tight end class isn't. Defensive tackle class, it's a good one. Edge rusher class, like I showed in the previous video, is a good one. And a tackle class is a good year for tackles too. Unfortunately, I'm going to start going into some of the other positions where it's just there's little slim pickings, shall we say. All right, guys, it's been 1 hour and almost 40 minutes. Whoever spent any time listening to me live, thank you. If anybody's going to spend any time watching the replay this, once again, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. Means the world to me as always. You guys stay safe out there and go Giants! Woo! Oh, yeah.